Today, I'm here to show you a vast and wonderful place. Not made by God Almighty, but the working man.
Friends, your future may not be as secure as you think. Where will you be when the atomic bombs fall? You can secure your family's future by reserving a spot in a state-of-the-art underground vault from Vault-Tec.
There's a lot of earning potential with the end of the world. But we're talking about making a significant investment based on a hypothetical. How can you guarantee results?
By dropping the bomb ourselves.
So the capitalists at Amazon were so eager to expose capitalism that they created the dumbest mega corporation ever. Fallout is an Amazon hit show and an adaptation of the popular video game franchise of the same name. While there is no doubt that Amazon is one of the most successful corporations in history, their success rarely transfers to the small screen. Millions invested in spectacular flops like the Rings of Power make Fallout the rare investment in Prime Video that might actually pay off. While Fallout isn't without its detractors, comprising mostly fans of the video game source material, there is no doubt that this show has been successful. Be it massive buzz on social media, newfound interest in its cast, or a barrage of social media videos singing its praises, Fallout dominated the small screen in its first month of release.
It was perfect. Perfect. Everything, down to the last minute details.
For a show that seems to have cracked the needs of the market, it's rather baffling how little it understands the very concept that allows it to exist. As its name suggests, Amazon's Fallout is set in a dystopian future a few hundred years after the Great Nuclear War, chronicling the lives of people living on an irradiated Earth and underground bunkers constructed by Vault-Tec. To make sense of the madness that befell this world, we have to start at the beginning. During the Cold War era of the 20th century, tensions were high and so was the fear of total nuclear fallout from fighting superpowers. The heat of battle sparked innovation, giving birth to a behemoth in the form of Vault-Tec, an international defense mega-corporation creating solutions to all problems of nuclear war. Vault-Tec invested in nuclear war defense installations, nuclear energy, and many other technologies that would be instrumental in life during and after the war. By far the greatest innovation that Vault-Tec brought to the table was its nuclear shelters that later became the Vaults. After winning the contract for Project Safehouse from the US government, Vault-Tec set out to build vaults that would protect humanity from annihilation on the surface. Or would they? Vault-Tec aggressively marketed the vaults, enlisting the help of US veteran and actor Cooper Howard in one of many campaigns to scare the population into buying shelter in the vaults.
Act now, and your family can wait out the horrors of nuclear devastation. And Doris, the vault will have all the amenities of your modern-day home, and it's attractive. Sign up now and prepare for the future.
Over time, Vault-Tec grew to become the largest company in America, but being the biggest fish in the pond was not enough. Vault-Tec wanted to be the ultimate monopoly. It set out to absorb smaller companies in its quest to monopolize nuclear technology and innovations for the future. When the war shifted to a battle for resources, Vault-Tec acquired cold fusion research led by Lee Moldava, ensuring that the war would last even longer. Eventually, Vault-Tec lost faith in the US government and turned its focus to redefining society, using inhumane experiments to build technology that could enable humanity to resettle on another world. As the Great War stalled and public interest in the vaults waned, Vault-Tec was struck by the most ingenious idea ever. They would instigate the Great Nuclear War themselves and wipe out everyone on the Earth's surface.
Our vaults have the resources to survive for centuries. Meanwhile, our competitors, every other human who isn't us, will be dead on the surface.
That's called capitalism, Charlie.
Are you sure about that?
In one fell swoop, Vault-Tec wiped out all of its competition, along with most of its potential customers. This would ensure a monopoly that conferred little to no benefit to its shareholders and only promised profit for future shareholders that it couldn't guarantee would exist. Vault-Tec's machinations would be portrayed as quintessential American capitalism. To fully appreciate how brain-dead this is, let's take a moment to go over how capitalism actually works. Capitalism is an economic system where the means of production are privately owned and used to generate profit for their owners. At its most fundamental level, capitalism is about the voluntary exchange of money, goods, and services. If person X has cash in their hand but is starving, that cash is practically useless to them, and they will certainly die with it. If that person meets person Y, who has a loaf of bread but needs cash to pay for the services of a doctor, well, they willingly exchange cash for bread and both people get to live to see another day. These free choices are what capitalism is based upon and what sets it apart from other economic systems. Each individual makes decisions that benefit them in order to get resources that they can then use to open up even more options for survival, meaning, and leisure. In the real world, each individual has many jobs to choose from to earn money that they can then use to choose from many providers of goods and services. Each provider of goods and services can then use this funding to grow their business or pass it on to their investors and shareholders.
That's called capitalism, Charlie.
He's right. It's great.
Like every economic system, capitalism is not immune to psychopathic predation. Providers of goods and services eventually grow into corporations that can monopolize their industries, driving customers out of options and buying off entire governments built to regulate them. This predatory behavior is what inspires the classic evil corporation that has become a hallmark of entertainment and no doubt the inspiration behind Vault-Tec. Vault-Tec preys on the fear of nuclear war and grows into a monopoly that manipulates the market and the US government to manufacture demand for its product. This is not far off from real-world defense contractors that lobby politicians into funding foreign wars in order to create a market for their weapons. Big tech giants that drive out smaller companies from the market by locking customers into their ecosystem or bidding down the prices of goods so much that small retailers can't keep up. Pharma companies that create drugs and court regulators and physicians into pushing their product onto customers. Sometimes these companies even create the very problem that their product is meant to address. But one thing all these predatory corporations have in common is that they seek to make as much profit as possible from as many people as possible. After all, even the greatest corporations on earth today are accountable to shareholders that give them capital and expect to see profit. No sensible shareholder would be willing to invest in the stock of a company that will wipe out much of their customer base to maybe turn a profit that they will not live long enough to see.
Vault-Tec is a private corporation that has a fiduciary responsibility to make money for its investors. And how does it make money?
By dropping the bomb ourselves.
That's retarded.
Ooh, but Vault-Tec are an evil monopoly that does evil things just because they are evil, I hear you say. Well, it would be fine if all Vault-Tec was simply written as is an evil corporation that does evil for its own sake. But that's not how its actions are justified in the Fallout TV show. The creators of this show clearly intended for Vault-Tec to be a satirical critique of capitalism, specifically enunciating that the actions of Vault-Tec were quintessential American capitalism.
Well, this is America. Everybody has a sponsor, and I'm not ashamed to earn a living.
The show's main anti-hero, Moldova, is a vehement critic of capitalism and goes as far as saying that communism is just a word that they use to describe people who aren't crazy.
I'm not a communist, Mr. Howard. That's just a dirty word they use to describe people who aren't insane. Vault-Tec is the largest company in America. There's a lot of money in selling the end of the world.
Well, I'm sure there's a lot of money in selling a political ideology that ends in bread lines.
Oh!
I hope you like the taste of lead, you common son of a bitch.
Is she wrong though? I hear you say. Real socialism has never been tried. Well, socialism is not only vulnerable to the same corporate monopolistic tendencies as capitalism, but it also ensures that leaders have both the political and economic power to compel everyone, taking away every individual's choices in favor of a collective that cannot possibly meet the diverse needs of millions of people. Even with the best intentions, the expertise of a handful of people will always pale in comparison to the knowledge and experience of a vast network of self-interested individuals. That's why socialism always leads to communism, and communism, at least in its strict central planning sense, always leads to breadlines. Capitalism has the ability to tap into ambition, experience, and resources to generate wealth in a way that no other economic system can. And when things go wrong, as they often do with monopolies and environmental abuse, capitalism has the versatility and flexibility to adjust to changing regulations and market demands. In Voltec, the writers of Fallout created what they thought was a clever critique of the unjust economic system that dominates the world, and also allows Amazon to exist. But in so doing, they created the dumbest corporation ever, only exposing how little they understand the very capitalism that allows them to indulge in such abysmal writing. Thanks for watching. If you like what you see here, please subscribe to the channel and let me know what you think in the comments down below. I appreciate every relentless soul that tunes into these videos. You stay tuned and stay cool.
Okie dokie.